K-pop should be called black pop. K-pop would not exist without black people, period, full stop, end of sentence. Genuinely, I think the country of South Korea owes the black American community a copyright infringement check, like monthly, weekly. K-pop is built on black hip-hop, black rap, black R&B, Motown, from production to choreography, vocal styling and fashion, the goddamn performance ethos even. The foundation of K-pop is black culture. This is not an opinion piece. This is not an argument. I am correct. I need to give credit where it's due. I watched this video by Lonnie's Lens called Keep K-pop Korean, the Blackaboo Problem. I learned so much. Hip-hop and R&B culture traveled globally through US imperialism, through media circulation as well, but also black innovation. South Korea didn't invent these forms. They studied, adapted, and commercialized them. Down to damn fan culture, even photo cards, because Motown Records did that first. Early K-pop groups explicitly modeled itself after black artists, black groups, black aesthetics. Sobangcha is the oldest, I think, K-pop group, and just take a look-see. From dance crews to sound engineering to the idea that the idol is a performer, it all came from black culture. It makes me think about Stuart Hall. He's a Jamaican-born Marxist, and he often talked about how culture is never neutral. It's produced within power relations. It's the same problem over again because black culture gets universalized while black people are still marginalized. So you end up with this global industry that profits off of black sound, black culture, black movement, black creativity, while black artists remain underpaid, uncredited, and shut out, all while anti-blackness still thrives in Asia. The reason why people get really defensive when this is named is because they're just anti-black. Because acknowledging that one sole fact that K-pop's global success would not be without black culture, like K-pop is inseparable from black creativity, and that just makes anti-black people froth and seethe. For the weird die-hard K-pop fans, I'm not saying that Korean people didn't work hard. They're just imitating. I'm even saying K-pop isn't Korean, like it is, but also it isn't. It just means that K-pop exists in relation to black culture. Like they're literally inseparable. The song that connected it for me, H.O.T., We Are the Future, and I was a notorious big listener, and I was like, this sounds exactly like Things Done Changed, like the discography, beat structure, and the rhythmic phrasing. I think both of those songs came out within like 2 or 3 or 4 years of each other. Like they're very close. Hybe holds a gun to all of their male members and they go, if you don't copy Travis Scott, we'll kill you and your entire family. Hybe, please don't sue. I'm gonna lie, y'all, I'm not even a fan of K-pop like that. A lot of people always ask me about my thoughts and feelings about K-pop on here, and it's really not that much. Don't think much about K-pop because I listen to rap music, I listen to hip-hop, I listen to R&B. That's probably why pre-frontal developed me had a love for K-pop, a deep love for K-pop, because it's also how I saw other Asian artists that somewhat looked like me with plastic surgery, but still Asian. If you love K-pop, you should love black people. And if you love K-pop and don't love black people, you're racist. As always, if I expanded your attention span, please follow my Substack, subscribe to my YouTube, and find me on Instagram.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you are doing great from wherever you're watching us from. Now, there's something that I want to say. And for the longest time, Black Americans have been trying to ask people not to exploit them, not to, appropriate their culture. So this is what is happening. Asian Americans are learning the truth, and they're calling the K-pop out. They're calling the K-pop industry. They're telling them to be creative, or at least give credit to Black Americans. Now, for the longest time, Black music have always been used, taken, ripped off from Black people. And this is the reality that people know. But at the end of the day, this is something that people are always not ready to talk about. Now, Asian Americans learned because they saw similarities between Black songs that were originally created, and then K-pop reproduces songs which came from the Black community. And once the songs go viral, they start celebrating the K-pop as being one of the creative songs to be in the industry. But people don't give credit from where this came from. So, the concept of exploiting Black American culture involves that Black entities selectively adopting elements like music rhythms, dance styles, fashion aesthetics, slangs, and visual motifs originating from African American communities. This is what happened. This is often forged through historical resilience against oppression, then repackaging them. for mass commercial appeal without meaningful credit, economic reciprocity, or cultural understanding. Now, this practice, frequently labeled cultural appropriation in a scholarly discourse, allows outsiders to profit from the cool factor or emotional death of Black innovation while distancing themselves from the systemic challenges that birthed it, such as segregation, era, creativity in jazz, blues, and hip hop. Critics view it as a form of extraction that commodifies identity for global markets, perpetuating inequality by treating Black culture as a trend rather than a living heritage. So, brothers and sisters, I want us to watch this video because for the longest time, Black people have been always talking about these issues, but people took them for granted. Now it has reached a point where Asian Americans themselves are coming out and calling out the K-pop industry, and they're telling them, you guys, be creative for once, or at least give credit to Black people where it's appropriate. So, brothers and sisters, I want you to watch this video, and then I'm gonna be back, and then I'll be sharing my thoughts in regards to this. And as you know, I'm your host and presenter, Eugene Tech Stories. And if you're watching it for the first time, I'm asking you to please subscribe to the channel, join the membership, and really get to what I can offer you. But until then, let's watch the video. I'll be back.
The K-pop music industry needs to show African Americans more love. Cause after seeing Big Hit's new group Cordis and their new song Go, it sounded eerily familiar to some Black artists I know like Travis Scott, Don Toliver. And now that I think of it, I feel like the whole K-pop music industry is influenced by Black culture and music. Hear me out, talented boys in a group who can sing and dance. Who does that remind you of? The Jackson 5. And look, it's not only Cordis that's taking inspiration from Black music, but most of these groups, anytime they have some sort of hip-hop rap section or like an R&B-ish feel, I feel like it's in direct correlation to African American music. I personally grew up with a lot of African Americans, especially within the music industry. And one of the main reasons I make R&B music today is because I was influenced by my Black vocal coach, Black musicians, and Black producers I worked with. I kid you not, one of the main reasons I learned to dance and sing is by watching Chris Brown and Michael Jackson. Anytime I saw those two guys on the stage and watched their performances, it would inspire me to become a better artist. But anyways, yeah, I think that the K-pop industry should show a little bit more appreciation towards African Americans. But in general, most music does take inspiration from other kinds of music, and I think we should all just enjoy it and have a great time together.
I'm Chinese, not Korean, but y'all want to hold me responsible for the cultural appropriation in K-pop, so I'm going to talk on that right now. K-pop is Black American music repackaged, debasified. Other Asian and Black creators have acknowledged this, but I want to go deeper into the sound of K-pop because it never quite sounded right to me. Like, I grew up on hip-hop and R&B sounds from the early 2000s, so when K-pop got popular, I'd already been, listening to the OG sounds for a while, and I found K-pop to be less rhythmically interesting. When they sang, the vocal techniques wasn't as good, and I couldn't understand it the way I could understand Black American singers when they sang in English. So I never really became a K-pop fan. Like, I would listen to a couple songs here and there, but I preferred the original. And I said debasified earlier because literally K-pop is so treble heavy. That thump in the bass, like when a Lil Jon song comes on or like a 50 Cent song and you feel like the rumble like in your bones. That's what's driving so much of it. And K-pop music has bass, but the bass is less interesting. The bass relative to the mix of the treble is turned way down on a lot of K-pop songs. And a lot of K-pop singers also produce less resonance in their vocal tones. So it's not about the pitches that they sing at. It's about the way that the sound wave is shaped. So they pulled the music style, they pulled the beats, they pulled the aesthetics all from Black American culture without acknowledging where it comes from. And also Black K-pop artists and Black K-pop fans are not treated very well because in a just world of cultural appreciation, Black K-pop artists and fans would be the coolest kids on the block. I also always found it really uncomfortable that K-pop artists were like wearing Black hairstyles, the nails, the jewelry, sort of to signify that they were cool or counterculture or not like square in the traditional East Asian sense. It's weird to cosplay a culture to show that you're rebellious, It doesn't sit right with me. So yeah, that's why K-pop probably sounds a little bit hollow to you if you don't really like it. The mixing and the resonance is different than the original, and they need to acknowledge where it comes from.
Some of you may know, some of you may not know. I'm Korean American. I was born here in the States. But let's talk about this. Is not a complicated conversation, okay? K-pop is not some isolated cultural phenomenon. It's Black music and Black culture. A lot of you guys have been DMing me, what do you think about K-pop? So I'm addressing it right now. It is Black R&B, hip-hop, pop, systemized through a Korean entertainment industry machine. Not an opinion, it's facts, okay? It's history. Let me take you to the very first K-pop group ever in 1992 called Seo and Boys, Seo Idol. If you listen to their songs, you can probably name the songs they copied. Now, I know Cypress Hill is more of a Latino right? American hip hop group. But what I'm trying to explain to you is that that's what they did from the very beginning. So from the very beginning, from the very first K-pop group ever, okay, it was ambiguous, it was borrowed, it was stolen. And the framework still remains today. We have the 808s, we have the syncopation, we have the hi-hats, we have the melismas, we have the call and response, we have all of the things that black music, it's black music. And I'd also like to add that most of the K-pop hits now are being written by black writers and produced by black producers. It's not just the sound, right? Because it's the culture, it's the mannerisms, it's the hair, it's the fashion, it's the choreography, it's the slang, it's all of the things that it's taken from black culture. It did not come from Korean traditional culture. This is where I get uncomfortable talking about this, but here I am, okay? Black artists were historically marginalized. They were penalized. They were excluded because of these very things. And yet, when it comes from K-pop, it's globally accepted and it's even rewarded. What is that? That's not influence. That's racism. And as a Korean American woman working in the music industry, I want to tell Korea, like, do better. Grow up in this conversation, right? If you want to steal, if you want to take, if you're claiming that it's borrowed inspiration, then at least respect the source, at least credit it visibly. And also, let's evolve beyond imitation. Let's evolve, because it's giving cultural appropriation, not respect.
I didn't realize that Cordis, the K-pop group, was controversial, right? I just came across them today because my daughter had put on a music video and I was like, wow, this song sounds really familiar. Now, I'm not someone who's musically inclined, okay? I don't really know much about music. I don't know how to play any instruments, but to me, those two songs really sound alike. Facts, I must have to say, I low-key think Cordis copied it. But I don't know how that works behind the doors, right? I don't know how it works in the music industry. But for some reason, the K-pop industry, like, you guys have issues and the fans have issues too. Like, why can you guys not acknowledge it? You guys can't even give the respect of acknowledging it is insane. I honestly believe that someone needs to get paid, and you know what? The credit needs to be loud.
The interesting thing about the people who spout the K-pop Asian rhetoric is that they never like to acknowledge the fact that K-pop has had black and brown people. We've had black and brown people in K-pop, whether that is through their contributions culture-wise or their actual labor. Off the top of my head, Tiffany Red, who helped to compose NCT's Boss. I don't know why I'm so quiet, it's cultural ASMR commentary, but Boa, you know, queen of K-pop, some may say one of the biggest K-pop solo artists of all time, has cited inspiration from people like Michael and Janet Jackson. So what I'm seeing and hearing is that people are okay with K-pop assimilating black and brown culture like the Borg from Star Trek. But as soon as you introduce the idea of melanin on the screen, an actual melanated person of black or brown descent on the stage, you cower in fear because too much melanin, too much melanin. Do you see where that is questionable? You know, or is that making sense? And I know that in the West, Asians might not get as much representation, right? So people seek outside sources in Asia for their representation. K-pop becoming a global phenomenon at that. But it doesn't seem very fair for those whose culture has been taken, sometimes without credit, and to leave them in the dust like that. But that's just me. That's just me judging on.
So I'm a bit late to this, but on the matter of acknowledging and respecting black music as inspiration and borrowed material for K-pop, when I was a boy growing up in Korea in the 90s, I was doing one of three things like any other elementary school boys. Going to PC방 with my friends, going to hagwons until 10 p.m. That was absolutely miserable. And listening to G.O.D. I remember listening to G.O.D.'s first album, Chapter 1, on repeat all day, every week, just nonstop. And one of my favorite songs, which is also one of G.O.D.'s greatest hits, is 어머님께. And back then, you'd have these lyrics books stuffed into the front side of the CD case. And it was one of the joys of owning CDs to read the lyrics books and the commentary about the song. So when I opened the lyrics book in their first album, under 어머님께, it was clearly written that this song sampled from Tupac's Life Goes On. And that's how I got to discover Tupac and his music. That was how I got to know the very human roots behind the sounds within that song. Unfortunately, the story regarding 어머님께 has a less than ideal ending, all thanks to how Sidus, the agency, for some reason, didn't pay the sampling fee in the end. So despite JYP, the producer of GOD at the time, doing everything above board, it ended up going to court for plagiarism later on, and JYP and Sidus decided to yield the rights of the song over to Tupac and BMG. Now, I'm not praising that as exemplary, that's the bare minimum, but even the bare minimum allowed myself and countless other Koreans to know where the sound of their favorite song came from, and that matters. It matters that we were introduced to the human being named Tupac through GOD's 어머님께, because a sound is not just a sound, it is tied inexorably to the people whose lives made that sound. It's their memory, their pain, their history, and to seize and use and consume that culture without giving due respect and credit to the people who made that possible is simply extraction.
K-pop has profited off of Black people and Black culture since its inception, from production techniques to choreography to aesthetics. You name it, it's probably been taken and in many cases bastardized. I never take K-pop purists seriously, the ones who say keep the K in K-pop, take the West out. The West has always been K-pop. Even songs that are stereotypically K-pop sounding, like Me Gustas Too by G-Friend, employ techniques that originated in the Black community. So, Tinashe, the recent Blackpink leaks just further prove what many Black people and I have been saying. The Black community has been the blueprint. Here we have pre-debut Blackpink performing to Tuan. Idols and K-pop companies have been obsessed with Tinashe, especially during this period in 3rd gen, kind of early 4th gen K-pop. She lived rent-free in their brains. A K-pop fact I like telling you K-pop stans is that Tinashe has had her work stolen by the K-pop industry. The producers for a K-pop group, Daya, took Tinashe's Superlove. Yeah, they changed lyrics into Korean, but they kept the sound, they kept the aesthetic. By the way, if you have the opportunity to see Tinashe live, do it. It was life-changing. The Black community has always been the blueprint, and yeah, there are K-pop fans who will continue to deny this, but it's important to circulate this knowledge, to circulate this history for those people who don't know but are willing to learn.
Oh my gosh, nobody come for me, but K-pop feels like a caricature of Black culture. Like, a lot of y'all are saying that it's like an imitation. No, it's not an imitation. It literally feels like, you know when you're talking to someone's parent, and they're like, oh, this is hip hop. You know that lady who's like, this is hip hop.
1, 2, 3, 4, hit, ah, and ah. This is me. This is how I am. This is a lifestyle.
That's what K-pop feels like to me. Also, I realized that they started with people using blackface. Yeah, I can't get behind K-pop. I cannot get behind K-pop.
Hey, good morning, guys. I mean, I usually don't make videos like this in response to like shit that's going on, but it kind of pissed me off this morning, so I just wanted to share something, right? So I'm doom scrolling this morning, and there's several threads on my feed about people in the Black community voicing out their frustrations or concern, or like whatever it is you want to call it, about Blackpink using, or like some people in the Blackpink using the N-word in one of the practice videos that they created like many years ago before they became famous, right? And people are saying, oh, and there's like a couple sides to it. There are people saying, oh yeah, you didn't know this, like K-pop has been ripping off Black culture for a long time, and then, you know, this is happening only because you guys are allowing it. And there's people who are saying that kind of stuff. And then there's the other side who I guess seems to be defending Blackpink, or like these people from like using the N-word because it's just following along the lyrics, right? I agree with both, right? And I mean, the way I see it is, if this enrages the Black community, that you know, when non-Black people are singing the lyrics of a song that they find that offensive because it has the N word. I mean, just let it be known, right? Like there's people saying that black people have allowed this, right? And black people have allowed this because they've accepted these other cultures from like using stupid ass discussion. But I mean, let's just call it what it is, right? Like if first of all, I'm outside all day. Like I meet people, and then I've never had these dumbass discussions with anyone else in real life. But it's online, and it seems like it's a real conversation that is taking place, right? I mean, if it's upsetting you this much that there are artists that use the N word because it was in the lyrics. Why don't you write your own favorite rappers? Like write them a little email, right? Just tell them, hey, in your music, I want you to address it that, tell everybody because we find it offensive that, this music is only exclusively for the black people. And that if you're non-blacks, you're not supposed to be listening to our music, streaming our music or singing along to the music, right? Let's just let that be known just like that. And then, I guarantee you once your favorite rappers verbalize that their music is only for their own people and then it's not meant to be enjoyed by non-blacks, I guarantee you nobody else is going to be listening to music except you. And then you get your wish, right? Like that's if you don't want inspiration to come from like your music, then just tell your artists, like don't get pissed off for other people being being inspired by the music that some of these artists create. Just publicly come out and say that our streaming, like our meaning just non-blacks, the streaming that comes from non-black fans is not appreciated. Don't come to our shows, don't come to our concerts, don't listen to our music, don't sing along to it. Just let it be known that our support is unappreciated. Then I guarantee you that that fan base will just pick up their shit and then move to something else. You know what I mean?
This music has traveled. Black music has traveled the world, and we see the influence of it in K-pop, in artists who want to sound like the black sound that we have here in the US. But what comes from that? What comes of the emulation of the sound without actually like understanding the source? Like you got a copy, but do you understand? Like, is there the understanding of like the experience that has informed the sound? And that I think that's where there's some missed opportunity for connection and for engagement. There is we lose that when it's just an appreciation for the music alone.
K-pop wouldn't exist without Black history and Black culture. Like a lot of music genres. If you're a fan of K-pop, you've probably heard of Sotaeji and the Boys. They're a Korean boy group from the 90s, considered to be the first idol group, like idols as we know them today, incorporating rap into their music and dancing into their performances. As y'all know, rap is still a part of K-pop today, and rap is a part of hip-hop. A lot of what Sotaeji and the Boys did is rooted in hip-hop or influenced by hip-hop. That is where Black history and Black culture comes in. Hip-hop is a culture. It was a movement that was started in the Bronx in New York City back in the 70s by African Americans, Caribbean immigrants. 4 elements of hip hop are considered to be breakdancing, graffiti, DJing, and MCing, or announcing and rhyming, which turned into rapping. So rapping, because I know K-pop fans like to talk about rappers. Rapping came about when MCs, basically the announcers that accompany DJs during their sets, they started speaking in rhythmic patterns, rhyming their words. It was very poetic, and this was done over the beats that were layered and mixed by DJs. These techniques were created by Black people, DJs that would host and play at block parties in the Bronx. This is what became known as hip-hop music and rap music. Rap, I think, is an art form. It's a form of storytelling. It was born out of a culture that spoke up against socioeconomic, political injustices. Rap also takes a lot of influence from other African traditions and music styles, like call and response in gospel music. So whenever I see discourse about rappers in K-pop, I just like to think about the history of rap itself, how it's really meant to be a form of storytelling, and there's actually a lot of resistance in rap. I wish it was something that more K-pop fans talked about or like took the time to educate themselves on, because because it's a very rich and like really beautiful history. Another element of hip hop as a culture is breaking or breakdancing. The term breakdancing comes from dancers who would literally dance over the breaks that were created by DJs, like they would elongate the breaks in songs. DJ Kool Herc, he's known as one of the founders of hip hop. He's the one who coined the term b-boy and b-girl, which is still used today. And a fun fact about breakdancing and like going back to Soteji and Boys, one of the members of the boys, it was YG, like YG, the founder of YG Entertainment. He was actually a member of the first Korean breakdancing group. Breakdancing, again, has its roots in the Bronx. It was pioneered by African and Puerto Rican people. A lot of what Soteji and Boys did and a lot of what K-pop does to this day is influenced and is directly rooted in Black culture. It is Black History Month, and I think it's always great to educate ourselves in how much Black culture is a part of K-pop. Just like many genres, rock, R&B, it comes from Black people. It comes from Black culture. If you're a music nerd like me and you just like learning about the history of music, listening to those musical roots, I've been listening to the 70s and 80s rap playlist on Spotify. I'm gonna link it on my page if you guys want to listen. I just like hearing how sounds have changed over the years, and I like learning about where music comes from. Like I said, Black culture influences a lot of things in K-pop, and I think that's something to be celebrated. Happy Black History Month.
People are arguing that K-pop, is influenced or comes from Black culture, and I'm out here thinking you can go further than that. The entire pop genre, you can argue, comes from Black culture, because pop is a combination of like hip hop, jazz, funk, soul, and all sorts of genres that, a lot of it comes from Black culture. And I'm not saying like, variations of this and stuff like people getting inspired by this can't make their own original works, but like, a huge chunk of it is inspired by Black culture, whether you like it or not. And this leads to a lot of cognitive dissonance that I've observed, where like you'll see like people say the most racist, darnest things, and then you go to their like repost. This is like from one of my personal experience. Like you go to the repost and they're out here like reposting Tekka's like clips from his music videos. I'm like, okay, so you're a Tekka fan and you're saying the most absolutely crazy racist things towards that community, towards the community that Tekka is from. It's just like, it's so weird. It's really weird, and I just like, that's why for one, I feel like a lot of like self-proclaimed racists aren't really racist. They're just misguided, they're misguided and they're just hateful, and that could be changed,
Hot take. K-pop is not Asian culture. It's very white lyrics into very Black music. It's not Asian. Black and white.
The non-existence of Blasian K-pop idols in the K-pop industry is a prime example of how K-pop commodifies Black culture without platforming any real Black identity at all. It genuinely baffles me that there haven't been any Blasian K-pop idols yet, considering how heavily K-pop pulls from Black culture. Why is it considered profitable to steal Black culture but not platform Black artists and Black identity?
South Korea, I think you might be a little racist against Black people. 무슨 소리야? 우리가 흑인 사람들 얼마큼 좋아하는데? I'm not saying you don't like them. I'm saying the way that you show that you like them, it's just a little problematic.
무슨 소리야? 우리가 어떻게?
How? Okay, where do I start? You like rap, right? 그럼 내가 랩 얼마큼 좋아하는데? Yo, 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 swag. Okay, so that's what I mean. Like Korean rappers, they have dreads. They're wearing jerseys. They're wearing their pants really low. They have grills even. Do you get what I'm saying?
그게 왜 문제야? 우리가 흑인 사람 그렇게 좋아해서 그렇게 하는 거지. 우리가 respect 하니까.
It's so well-intentioned and innocent, but it's so misguided and problematic. You rap like you're from Compton. You're from Hongdae. You're from Gangnam. You've had a golden spoon your entire life, and you rap like you're a gangster, but you've never committed a crime. You act like you're from the trap house, but you've never seen an illicit substance in your entire life. You've went to cram school. You're a law-abiding citizen.
얘네들 똑같이 하잖아. 우리나라 한복, 한후, 키모노도 다 마찬가지 입고, 근데 욕사를 다 아나? 우리 왜 이렇게 지랄을 치나?
Okay, when they do...
So we all know very well that K-pop serves as a prominent illustration because its sonic and performative foundation draws heavily from Black American genres that dominated US charts in the late 20th century. Early Korean acts in the 1990s influenced by important American media mirrored Motown polished groups dynamics, hip-hop's breakbeats and rap flows, and R&B vocal rhymes and harmonies, styles rooted in African American churches tradition, civil rights era, expression, and urban storytelling. The idol training system itself echoes aspects of Black American artists developing pipeline from labels like Def Jam or Motown, emphasizing rigorous rehearsals, synchronized choreography, and charismatic stage presence that Black performers pioneered globally. So, specific borrowings includes K-pop frequent use of hip-hop inspired production with heavy bass jobs and trap elements. Intricate dance breaks featuring popping, locking, and cramping moves from Black street dance culture and visual stylish such as box braids, durag, grill, or oversized streetwear that evoke 1990s Black hip-hop aesthetics. Many tracks incorporate African-American vernacular English, that's the AAVE, faces in English verses for rhythmic flair, while music videos adopt urban narratives or swagger associated with Black artists like Michael Jackson, TLC, or Usher. These choices help K-pop achieve crossover appeal in Western markets, but are often presented as freshy or edgy innovations by the industry. Now, the ripping off factor. The ripping off critique also centers on the disparity in benefits. K-pop generates tens of billions in annual revenue through these hybrid sounds, yet Black American creators and communities see limited direct returns, with few Black idols in major groups and occasional resilience on uncredited Western, often Black, songwriters and choreographers. So recent analysis include a 2025 critical review of Black women's K-pop fandom experience, highlights how the genre celebrates Black derived aesthetics in marketing, while industry structures in South Korea can marginalize actual Black participation or fail to acknowledge historical roots, leading to perceptions of one-way extraction rather than collective evolution. Compounding, these are documented instances of insensitivity, such as the past Black face skates in variety shows, casual use of racial slurs in other content, or performative adoption of Black hairstyles and slang without context, which some interpret as mockery when paired with South Korea's historically low Black population and occasionally media stereotype. Viral debates in 2025, sparked by Korean American critics dissecting industrial patterns, amplified these points by contrasting K-pop's massive profits from Black-influenced hits against the underrepresented of the originators, framing it as exploitation enabled by globalization and digital distribution. So, there are a few Black American songs that have been appropriated. For example, Rain and JYP, Switch to Me, a song which was done in 2020. Now, this duet is widely accused of directly copying Bobby Brown's Every Little Step that was done back in 1988. Remember, the K-pop industry did it in 2020. The song is called Switch to Me, Rain and JYP, which copied the song called Every Little Step, which was done in 1988. So the chorus groove, New Jack Swing's beats, vocal delivery, and even choreography, MMV styling match almost identical. Side-by-side comparison videos went viral, with critical noting no official credit to Bobby Brown or the original writers or producers. Many called it a blatant lift of the 1980s R&B classic signature bounce. Also, there's a song did by DIA, Woo Woo. He did it in 2018. Now, the song and its music video faced immediate plagiarism accusation for mirroring Tinashe's Super Love 2016. They share a nearly identical BPM 135, harmonic progression in the verses, choruses, funky production, and visual concepts, which is bright, playful aesthetics and dance move. So Tinashe's own music director publicly stated that they considered suing mashups of two tracks sound seamless, and the similarities sparked widespread rip-off debates in K-pop communities. There's a song called 2 p.m. Wanna Love You Again. Wanna Love You Again, sung by 2 p.m. Now, this R&B ballad is frequently compared to KCI and JoJo's All of My Life, 1998, for its near identical vocal runs, emotional ballad structure, melodic phrasing, and smooth harmonizing styles rooted in the 1990s. Black R&B music scholars and black K-pop fans have highlighted it as a textbook example of K-pop adopting and sometimes directly echoing the sound of classic African American slow jams without explicit nods to the originators. Shiny Replay, that's the year 2008. Born on stylistic lifts while not a full melody clone, the track's bouncy production and overall vibe have been called out for pulling heavily from Fantasia. When I See You, that's the year 2006, in its beat and swing, combined with Chris Brown's and era R&B visuals in the MV, it's often listed of mining 2000s black R&B for its cool factor. So those are just a few of examples of what was lifted from the original black creators' songs. So brothers and sisters, please let me know what you think about this. As you know, I'm your host and presenter Jintok Stories, but until then, I'm hoping to see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.